You don't actually need a big audience. One of the biggest misconceptions I see in marketing currently, or in the minds of the entrepreneur that I work with, which is women in service-based businesses, is that you need to have a gigantic following, a huge following. And it's not true. It's really not true. One thing I've learned is that it's definitely quality over quantity. But the other secret is that women are not doing enough of this one thing. I am Lydia Kimmerling. I'm a master life coach and business mentor. I help women in service-based businesses like nutritionists, coaches, personal trainers, stylists, interior designers to scale to 6 figures and beyond using 30 leads in 30 days. That's exactly what this video is about. I'm going to explain how that strategy works and why it's rooted in this one thing that most women have forgotten or stopped doing in their business, which they're actually really natural at doing. So the number one reason why women are not getting leads into their business isn't actually because of having a smaller audience. It's because they're not having conversations. Conversations are the starter to building relationships. And businesses are built on building relationships. That's it. When you're taught in marketing that you've got to nurture or warm up your list, for example, you're actually building relationship. Somebody's learning how you communicate, whether they can trust you, whether you're clear with what you offer. And as soon as those things embed themselves, there's that moment where the person you've been warming up decides one day, yes, this is the person I want to use for the problem that I'm sick of having. But there's a way of doing that much faster. Because whilst having an email list is still beneficial, it's a little outdated with a marketing strategy that belongs in 2020 and peaked in 2022. That was when we were taught to do all the things, post every day, blog, write a newsletter, have a freebie. And that worked for a while, but the internet got a lot noisier. And when it did, things needed to change. And I'm the kind of woman who always loves to bring things back to basics. I like to simplify. And I feel that I had the privilege of starting a business before it was fashionable. I started coaching when I was 27 in 2010. Not a lot of people in the UK were doing it. So I really learned everything from making mistakes. I didn't have a lot of marketing experts who had the experience to teach me how to do things, especially as social media wasn't used to market and sell then. So I started my business the good old-fashioned way, by having conversations, by speaking to people. And I know that that isn't actually that scary. And I also know that it's the fastest way. So listen, you can definitely build a business through creating content. But if you're starting really from scratch, that might be a bit of the longer game. The fastest way to actually get a lead to convert into a client is to have a conversation with them. And that is the basis of my 30 leads in 30 days strategy. But there's a piece that comes before that, because what I hear so often from the women that I work with is that they just want perfect, consistent clients. And I've learned over the 15 plus years that consistency comes after clarity. If you don't have clarity, if you don't clarify, if you don't refine, then you won't be consistent. Your results won't be consistent because you're too broad, or there's confusion in your message and it's not potent. You want everything that you put out to just speak directly to the person that you want to serve and support. So there's 4 steps I'm going to take you through today that help you to understand and apply the 30 leads in 30 days strategy. The first step is the clarity. You're going to need to come back to the drawing board and you need to revisit your ideal client, your offer, your positioning, your messaging. to make sure that you have radical clarity. They've got to be potent precision so that when you put it out there, it's like an arrow that's just going straight out to your client. Yes, you've probably done it before, but times are different. Come back now. Come back to it now with who you are today, who you want to serve today. Once you've done that, the main thing that you need to have is your offer. You need to know exactly the problem you solve and how you solve it, because you are going to use this now as your arrow. You're pulling it, you're going to send it out, and it's going to reach the people that you want to serve. Step 2, you're going to refine your offer. So you've gone back to the drawing board, you've thought about who you serve, how you help them, what your problem is. Now you really need to have a very strong and clear offer. It has to speak to the problem and exactly how you help. Once you have that ready and articulated, that is what's going to be the arrow that you're shooting out into the world that's going to go directly to the person that you want to speak to. For example, I help you scale to 6 figures with 30 leads in 30 days, but without hustle and without striving and without pressure. Once you know exactly what it is, then you're going to make the list of the people that you're going to reach out to. Step 2 is you are going to come back to essentially what would have been like your little black book, but that is now your WhatsApp, your phone directory, your Instagram, your Facebook, and you're going to go through everybody that you're connected to. Like literally, you're going to read all the names that you have, and you're going to write down every name that meets your ideal client or you think is connected to your ideal client. So by the end, you should have at least 30, if not more, names of potential leads. Step 4 is the easy bit. This is the bit that you're going to love to do, because the next step is just having conversations. The point of these conversations is curiosity. Be curious about this person. So you're going to reach out to them. If you think that they are the person you'd like to work with, it sounds like this. Hey, I am wanting to speak to a number of women in business who really want to scale to 6 figures with a 30 leads in 30 days strategy. And I'm really curious about where you're at in your business. I would just love to speak to you to get your insight, to get your opinion, and to get your thoughts. Could you be free for 20 minutes this week, just so we can have this conversation? As you start to have these conversations, you are now sitting in front of your perfect client. And I have always said right from the beginning that if you can have 30 calls in 30 days with your ideal client, you are creating mega momentum back into your business. Sitting with your ideal client is going to speak life over you and over your business. Not only because you're having the conversations that bring you to life, but because you know that the person you're sat in front is the person that you can help the most. These aren't just conversations. You're coming from a place of curiosity. But obviously, when you reach the point where you know you can help that person, that lead moves from being cold into warm, where you can speak to them about your service. The really important thing to know about this 30 leads in 30 days strategy is that it does so much more than bring you leads. It brings you back into a place of what your business should always been about, and that is the connection, the communication, and the trust with the people that you want to serve. So if it's gone into stagnation, if you feel like you've plateaued, or if you've never really been able to get consistency, it's because of step 1. You didn't have the clarity, or you need to re-clarify, because what was working in 2020, 2022 isn't working in 2026. And then you need to move into business basics. Start having conversations with people. It will breathe life back into you and back into your business. Now, when I support people in my mentorship, we go far beyond the 30 days. What's unique about what I offer is that it's not just about that 30-day period. I support you until you reach 6 figures. It's support that doesn't disappear, because as a woman, you don't want to be squeezed into a small time frame all of the time. We need to be able to flow. We need to be able to not have too much push, pressure, and force over us to perform at our best. If you want to know how I can support you and how that works, then drop me a message below or come find me on Instagram at Lydia Kimmerling, drop me a DM, say hi, start the conversation, and I look forward to hearing from you there.